What's up YouTube? Have you ever wondered what layers are in Affinity Photo? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. Welcome back. My name is Ben Nielsen. I'm a media design educator, and today we're here to talk all about layers in Affinity Photo on the desktop. I've actually created an entire course which is an introduction to Affinity Photo on desktop, and that course is meant for beginners, and we're going to cover a lot of concepts like we're going to cover today. In fact, this video is going to be one of the videos that's featured in the course. I hope to really kind of unpack and demystify some of the core concepts that happen in digital photo editing. I know a lot of people can be confused when they first start out because they're new to it, and a lot of concepts, especially here on YouTube videos, get thrown around like you already know what they mean. Layers is one of those, right? We'll just be like, okay, go ahead and make a new layer. You're like, I have no idea what that means. I don't know what's going on here. So there's 4 key concepts in this course that I cover, and you'll find a link to this course in the description of this video. 4 concepts are going to be layers, adjustment layers, selections, and masks. These concepts undergird almost everything we do with digital editing and digital composition in a program like Affinity Photo or Photoshop. So make sure you go ahead and click that link to check that out. It's over on Skillshare. When you click the link, you'll have the option to start a free trial, and you can take the course completely free. Okay, let's dive in and we'll get into this video all about layers in Affinity Photo on the desktop. It's time to learn about the core concept of layers. This is one of those core concepts that we're going to learn in this course that will really carry you through being able to professionally edit photos and create different types of designs and documents in a program like Affinity Photo, because it is a layer-based program. So if you've edited pictures before, maybe on your phone in like the Photos app or something like that, you're probably used to being able to make adjustments to the way the photo looks, but you're making them directly on the photo, and that's going to actually change the photo, and you can't necessarily always get back to what you had before because it's right there on the photo. So layers allows things to stack on top of each other so that one layer can be removed without destroying the other layers. Let me explain this concept by showing you kind of a visual here. For example, let's say that I had this picture of the yellow van, and then I put this picture here in front of it. Now, these two things have stacked on top of each other. This one with the lighthouse is on top of this one with the waterfall. So they've stacked on top of each other. They are layered. But remember, the one in back is still there. It's still there, it's just behind. And that's the way layers work in Affinity Photo. You're going to stack different pictures and different types of layers that are not pictures on top of each other. Let me show you that. So if I took something like this sheet of plastic here, this little cellophane, and I put it in front of the picture, it's going to change what you can see in the picture. I think it looks like you probably can't see much because this cellophane is introducing a glare onto the photo, right? So it is the next layer in the stack. So you can see these stack on top of each other. First the waterfall picture, then the lighthouse picture, then the cellophane layer. If I want to remove that kind of effect that I've introduced, I just take away the cellophane layer and then it's gone. Because of the studio lights, this is still kind of bright here. Let's think about what if I took a layer that wasn't as big as the other layer and I put it on top. So if I took this sticky note, you can see that part of this is going to be covered. You can't see the van anymore, but you can still see part of the lighthouse and part of the background. So some layers will not completely cover other layers, and this is how you can stack things together. Now, you can stack many layers on top of each other. And indeed, in some Affinity Photo documents, you will see lots and lots of layers as you create really complex art. We won't be doing that many layers in here. We'll just have a few. But this is kind of how you get introduced to the idea of layers. Okay, let's go ahead and look at how this works in Affinity Photo. So now here on the computer, we can view all of our layers in the document in the Layer Studio on the right. So make sure that you have the Layer Studio open, and then you can see your layers. Right now, we have 2 layers because we placed 2 images here. Remember, we had the first one, this one that's called background here right now, that had the yellow van on it. That was what we opened, and then we placed this second one, the Bryce Canyon image, which is now on top. Because these layers are the same size currently, we can't see one behind the other. If we use our Move tool over here to resize this image and make sure you're selected on it, so you can see we can switch between which layer is selected. It's highlighted in blue. So we're going to select this one. If we move that, you can start to see the other one come behind. That's like how when the sticky note was on the image, you could still see part of the image. For now, let's just keep it completely covering it. So that's how layers work. They each stack on top of the other. I know that might not seem all that useful right now, but don't worry. We're just going to cover a few more of the concepts with the Layer Studio in this video, and then we're going to get into a next video where we will see how this will actually help us to edit photos. So a couple of things to note here. One is that you can change the order of layers. So I can take this one and I can drag it below what's called the background layer, and then that one's going to be on top and I'll see that one. So I can switch those back and forth. Now, a couple of really important things to note. The first one is this one's called background right now. That might be useful if I had a background, but it's not super useful because it's not a background. So let's go ahead and click on that, and then we click on it again, and then we can name it. So I'm just going to name this one Van so I can tell what it is. And then this one up here, I'm going to click on that one again, and I'm going to name that one Bryce. So I can tell what it is. Now you can see it tells what type of layer it is in parentheses. So the Van is a pixel one. That's because we opened it up on its own. We didn't place it. The Bryce one is an image one. Now those will act very similar because they're both pixel types of layers. But you'll just want to note, especially for more advanced projects, what kind of layer you have. There's a couple of icons here. The first one that we see is a little check mark. You can see when I roll over this, it says is visible. This is determining which layer you can actually see. So if I check off this Bryce one, then you can see that even though the Van is behind it, we see it because the Bryce one is no longer visible. So you can turn visibility on and off. This other one is a lock icon. Lock icon basically means that you can't edit that layer. You can't make any changes on that layer. So if you have a layer looking the way that you want it to, or you have a background, or you have a copy of a layer that you want to preserve, you want to make sure that it's locked. If you want to unlock it, you just click on the lock, and background layers are normally locked by default. Now, if you want to lock a layer, make sure that you select it, and then choose the little lock icon. Lastly, if you want to delete a layer, say I want to get rid of this Bryce layer, I don't want it anymore, I highlight it, and then down at the very bottom of this studio, you see the trash can in the bottom right. We're going to click that, and that will remove the layer. So now that layer is gone. I'm going to go ahead and bring that back just by hitting Command Z on my keyboard, which is undo. Now you've probably noticed that there are a bunch of other buttons and different things you can click on in the Layers Studio. We're not going to worry about those right now. We've covered what we need to for this one.